Hey, 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 hey. Hey guys. I haven't done anything for a while. I'm in a bit of a mess here. But I thought I would pop on and do a video, a bit of a live, see how this works out. See if the video stutters. If it does, because that's what's been putting me off live streaming. If it does, I will try this bad boy, the BT Mini Hub. I'm not advertising it. But there you go. I thought I'd put this up here because what I wanted to do is wanted to show you one of the easiest finger picking patterns that sounds awesome. It sounds awesome, yeah, and it sounds really, really complex what it is that you're doing, and it adds some dimension to your chords. Now, generally, what happened when I started finger picking, I did the whole sort of House of the Rising Sun thing, which involves using all the fingers. We're not going to use all the fingers today. We're going to use a really sort of bare bones approach. In fact, actually, if you stick around to the end of this video, what I will do is I will do an extra sort of finger picking strumming pattern that is super useful, yeah, that's really, really cool to add to your arsenal of tricks as well. Right, so what we have, what we've got really essentially with this finger picking pattern is we've got a super simple idea, and this works over any of your chords. As I said before, with the House of the Rising Sun thing, what we end up doing is we end up using all the fingers. Now, if I zoom in here and just show you my fingers, the setup of your fingers is super important to successfully doing fingerstyle stuff. And it's all down to this thumb. And I'll show you how this works. If I get my thumb, I'm going to dig the string in and show you where I contact the string with the thumb. So I'm going to do that there, right? And I've created a groove there. So you can see that groove on my thumb. That groove there is how I'm making the contact with that string there. So that's what happens there. That string is struck with the side of the thumb, as opposed to, hang on, I'll just dig in there, that part of the thumb. We don't want that part of the thumb, because what that does is it encourages this curling action with the thumb. And that means that what happens is the thumb ends up coming inside the fingers, because when we're finger picking, what we want is we want all these fingers to essentially have like their own swim lanes. Yeah, so if you imagine it swimming, each finger has its own swim lane that it doesn't go out of. So that's what we're after doing there. So that thumb goes on there, and notice how far forward it is. It's what I call the fishing rod grip, or if you want to think of it as a golf club grip, you could think of it as, I think you hold a golf club, something like that. But that thumb is further out, and what we're essentially aiming for is we're aiming to have some clearance, so that when you move the thumb down, when you do a thumb stroke, your thumb doesn't impede on your index finger. It doesn't hit that, because once that gets in the way, then you get this kind of tight feeling in the pattern in your hand. The kinesthetic, how it feels, ends up feeling wrong. And what it does is your fingers and your thumbs collide with each other. So they want plenty of clearance. If you were to play single notes, the thumb would do the downstroke, and the index on the same string. This is a great little exercise. If you just do one string, thumb, index, thumb, index. I'm just doing that. And that's how you might use your fingers if you don't have a pick. If you lose your pick, we all lose our picks in the washing machine. So we do this. That's a great exercise to help you to understand what you need to do to get this moving like this, right? So use this idea. If I was to use other fingers, I would create this diagonal path across the strings. You can see that the fingers are all staggered in this diagonal path, and that means they can stay into their own swim lanes, right? But because the thumb's clear, it's not going to strike any of those other fingers. I can't say explicitly that that technique is paramount to successful finger picking and fingerstyle guitar. You know, if you want to do Travis picking and all those things, that thumb has to happen. Right. So here we've got this, and you could practice plucking that full chords. I'm holding an A minor chord here. Yeah. And I'm arpeggiating that A minor there. And that's kind of the traditional approach that you see in all the books. But there's too many fingers involved. And this is why I'm saying this is an awesome, easy pattern that makes your chords sound, great. So thumb, what we're going to do, we're going to use the thumb and the index. That's all we're going to use. 2 points of contact with the strings. The reason I think this is good is because it takes me back to the idea of the sharecrop farmers back in the day, doing blues, doing bluegrass sort of stuff. You know, they had they would work in the fields all day, and then they go and pick up a guitar and chill out and play some tunes. And they didn't have immaculate, you know, manicured fingers, and not that a manicured hands, but soft hands like we have in the modern world. You know, back then, back in the day, in the 1920s and 1930s, is like this. You know, these hands, they were worked. So we want to use that same sort of idea. And what we're actually going to do is we're just going to use the thumb and the index. And what we're going to do is we're going to split our chords into courses. So what I mean by a course is a group of strings. You could think of these as courses, like you have courses of bricks in a building. We can think of strings in that way, but we're going to have a course of strings. So we're going to use, on this A minor chord, for instance, yeah, this thumb on the A string, and my index finger is going to pluck up on the G string here. And if I get that thumb further forward, you can see what happens there is I get those two strings like that. I'll put my A minor on, I'm getting my octave there. That's an A, and that's an A. And the thing is, just to practice that on its own, once you get the feeling of that, it's really, really important. And it's important to go the speed that you need to go at. It's easy to copy somebody else in a tutorial and try and do it the same speed as them. Unless you've nailed the technique like they have, then you're not going to play at that speed. So we need to do things at your own pace so that you can observe what is going on. You need to see what's going on so you can take it in. It becomes a salient thought that you know exactly what it is that is going on. It's not just bypassing you and it's this passive experience of learning. You need to be able to clarify and say clarify to yourself that this is what's happening. And the guitar is mostly, especially for beginners, it's all about feel. It's all about how it feels in your hand, as well as the visual patterns and how it sounds. Feel is the first way we really, really get to grips with the guitar. So feeling the thickness of the string, the resistance that the string gives when you pluck it. Another thing, I showed you how I do that with the thumb, right? I'm not using any nail on this first finger. And if I just dig in there, the pains I go through to show people how to do this. So you can see where that groove is there. That's where I'm catching. I'm not catching near the nail. If I did catch near the nail, yeah, I'd have to grow my nails, but I'm not growing my nails. And I'm certainly never, ever going to wear acrylics because they look disgusting. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the first finger there. You get plenty of contact with that string, but what's happening essentially with that index finger is all I'm doing is I'm pulling it and contracting it towards my palm there in its own swim lane. So the thumb, now here's part of the premise. If you can do this on these two strings, you can switch it down onto the next two strings. So if I do this here, I switch to these other strings here. I've got an A and a C here, which is my fifth and my minor third of the chord. And that third there on the B string, that's the money note. So you need to make sure that that's clear, because that's the sad one. Yeah, because minor chords are sad. And if you don't pick out that one, people aren't going to get that it's a sad sounding chord. So if I put them together, now here's the thing. It's as simple as going thumb, index on the A and the G string, thumb, index on the D and the B string. So the idea is to do that super slow. And what you could do is actually, if you want to give yourself more headroom, take the whole idea of playing a chord out of the equation until you get it down in this hand, and just sit there like this. You could do this while you're watching TV or anything. And I'm just using those fingers to pick that pattern. And it's a very simple pattern. Right. So once you've got that down, take it nice and slow. If you have to say the strings as you play it, somebody left a comment about say it as you play it. I'm a really big proponent of saying it as you play it. So if I go A, G, D, B, A, G, D, B, those are the strings I'm looking at. That helps you to clarify what it is. It's explicit. Now, if I put that A minor chord on and I play that pattern with the chord, you can hear that it breaks the chord up and it gives you a more interesting pattern. So you can already hear that it's got a little bit more. Now, if I take a simple chord progression and put that underneath that, what I'm going to play a C, a G sus4/B, but we're just going to think of it as being a G, an A minor, and an F in first inversion. It's an F/C if you want to think of it in that way. Yeah, but it's the easiest way to play an F, because the whole of this thing is played on these four strings. It's played on the A, the D, the G, and the B string. So essentially, these two fingers do not have to leave those strings at all. Yeah? So if I start on this C, and I'll play that slowly, you can hear it. So I'm going A string, G string, D string, B string, switching to that G. Do you know what? I'll do a PDF. I'll do a PDF of the chords and I'll put them in the description once I've cleaned up the video a bit. We can think of that as the G. And what's useful is keeping that index finger on there, because what that does, what that enables us to do is to have a kinesthetic reference point. Yeah, you've always got a contact with your chords here, so you always feel secure. It's like having doing rock climbing with having a rope there to stop you from falling off the edge of the cliff. So we've got this. Now that sounds pretty cool for just using a thumb and an index finger to me. That sounds really, really nice. It's a sweet sort of sound. It gives you lots of options to do with that, to do there. Another way to kind of bring some style into it is to do a sort of a volume ebb and flow, and that kind of creates emotion, because what happens is if I whisper, you have to listen more intently. You have to really listen to what I'm saying. My phone's going off there now, and I don't want it to, and it's doing it, but it's doing it. We'll ignore it. Right, so here. We can see that there. Right, that does that. But what we can do is if we put this volume swells and flows in there, then what will happen is it'll just give it a little bit more emotion, and it'll suck the listener in. And don't forget that you are the primary listener. Yeah, so, and it has to feed your enjoyment. Playing guitar should be about you enjoying it first and foremost. Yeah, because it can be very often that the thing is that you think, oh, I'm learning guitar, therefore I have to sound good for everybody else. No, it's about you enjoying playing guitar. If you enjoy playing the guitar, it'll make you want to practice more. If you practice more, you'll get better. If you get better, you'll be able to play stuff that other people will recognize. And that's a big thumbs up as far as I'm concerned as a guitar teacher. So if I'll do this as a kind of an ebb and flow vibe. If you're singing along with that, then you're going to be creating motion. You're going to be matching the vocal with the guitar, and that's going to be absolutely amazing and awesome for you to be able to kind of create that instantaneous improvisation. This part of this improvisation where you're playing and singing alongside the guitar. I don't know how many of you actually play and sing at the same time, which is probably a topic for a video. The other technique that I said that will tag on the end here uses exactly the same fingers. And I know this to be called a banjo frail. So it's actually a kind of a banjo technique. And it's the same principle is if you don't have a plectrum, then what you might do is you might want to use your fingers. And it can be a bit messy with your fingers if you don't know what you're doing. But here's a way to tidy it up. But also what's cool about this is it puts a bass line into your strumming as well. And it's using the thumb and the index. So this is like a little sort of bonus one. I was only going to come on and do that one pattern. What we do is if I take this C chord and I play these two strings, I'm playing the A and the D string here. Yeah, if I play those two there, that gives me, we could, if we just want to think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then what we do is we use the nails on these fingers here. You can just use your index finger if you want. And what we do is we do a little strum down. So thumb, index, because you've plucked up with the index, if you strum down with the back of the nail, yeah, you get a good sound out of that. And then to bring it so that you've got 4 strums on that, you get thumb, index, nail, pad of the finger coming back up. The sun has decided to shine really, really brightly. Right, so thumb, index, nail, pad. Thumb, index, nail, pad. And what that does is it gives us 4. What I could also do, like I say, is I could use more fingers. Instead of just using an index finger, if I use 3 fingers, these 3 fingers here, I get a bigger sound. I actually quite like to vigorously throw my fingers out. That's a good way to strum. Same chords. I'm doing the C, the G, sus4/B, an A minor, F/C. we're just going to think of it as C, G, A minor, F. That's the easiest way to think about it. Don't get too lost in the minutiae of what chords are which. Anyhow, so if you've enjoyed that, do the subscribe thing. Let me know what about the quality of this live. Do I need to use the BT Home Hub? Guys, I should just mention, if you've tuned into this live, I'm going to sort out this live situation, and I'm going to be doing something in January called Guitar Gym. It's where I'm going to show you how to get fit on guitar. We're going to do gym sessions, guided sessions. They're going to be live, where we get the metronome on and we go through a bunch of exercises that get you guitar fit. So I'd love to see you on here. If you want to, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of that. Get the notification bell clicked as well so that you don't miss out on when those classes go live, because they will be pretty awesome in getting your speed up. We'll be tackling scales, we'll be tackling chord changes, and lots of good stuff that is practical to making you a better guitar player, because I want to help you become a better guitar player, because there's too much nonsense in this world and we need good stuff, and good stuff is things like playing guitar. So let's crack on, let's get it done. And I will see you in a future video. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, subscribe, like, all that stuff, comment, and let me know what you think below. I'll drop that PDF in there as well with those chord changes. Take care. See you.